So last week I said to look forward to this week because we're going to have a guest on, Faith Lauterbach. She's a registered nurse and now does a lot of work with patients and people with holistic wellness coaching and all sorts of. She does awesome stuff. But she got a hold of me earlier today and she was having her power go out in and out all day and night. So we didn't want to risk her losing connection, and so we're just going to reschedule her talk. So that leaves you guys with me again. Ha ha ha! Lucky you. So, and I'll tell you what, I obviously was expecting her to present tonight, so I don't have. I shouldn't say I don't have a plan because I do have a plan, but it's going to be a little different tonight. You guys are just going to kind of see my face and hear me talking. I don't have like a PowerPoint. That's not a big deal. I can just talk my way through it. Because what my thought was, hi Janine, good to see
Hi,
you.
sorry I'm late.
That's all right. A lot of people are struggling with power outages and weather, so we're just I'm happy you guys are here. So, well, before I get into it, I was just gonna say I have a plan for it's gonna be kind of another little mini series over the next number of weeks. I'm not sure exactly how, at least two or three, maybe longer, about a subject, and I'll cover that in a minute. But before we do that, anybody have any wins? Michelle, come on. Because you just
What?
sent me a good message. Come on, share with us.
I
Aw.
I was going to have a lazy day today because I'm recovering from an injury, but I saw Scott's video of him working out in the hotel, so I decided to go ahead and get a workout in. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
But modified probably to like so
very
you're not going
yeah,
to injure yourself. Okay, good.
yeah,
Well, that's amazing. That's a huge win. Movement is
yes.
medicine. I preached it all week this week when I was teaching these health courses down here in Springfield, Missouri, and I don't know how many times I said that. Movement is medicine. Movement is medicine. And it doesn't have to be crazy movement. It doesn't have to be an hour-long workout. Any movement frequently and intermittently through your day. So keep moving. Good job. Anybody else have any wins this week? Anything good
Well,
happening?
if movement is a win, then does shoveling snow off the driveway count?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's a win.
And especially if you did it without injuring your lower back, because I used to
Amen.
see a lot of that.
It was heavy. It was
It was
wet.
very heavy.
I heard it's just like really wet snow, right? I mean, obviously it's warm
Uh,
out, so good for you, Janine. So I mean, your husband, did he help? Was it with both of you guys out there? Did he make you get out there and do it?
He used a snow blower.
Yeah, thank God. Good, good, good.
I
Awesome.
did the edges.
Nice. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yep,
That's how it
yep,
is. I'm
yep.
proud of you. That's amazing. A lot of people don't want to get out there and shovel that heavy snow. So good job.
Oh, I grew up in North Dakota. I love snow.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, you're a North Dakota one, huh?
Ram.
All right, good stuff. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay, cool, cool. I mean, I've had so many wins the last 3 days. It's just like I could talk all night about that. But this Harvest Solutions company, platform, whatever you want to call it, out of Springfield, Missouri. The more I learn about them, because they haven't even launched yet. April or May is their kind of official launch date. But I was down here for the first time, clear back in last October, shooting courses in health. But it's for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, they got somehow found me, or I found them. We kind of just anyway. I'm their health guru, but it's like professionals from all walks of life, business and finance and life coaches, and it's just an amazing platform. It's going to be an amazing platform the more I learn about it. So I believe it's going to be free. So you guys could even check into it and when they finally launch. And like I said, I'm teaching stuff about health. But yeah, it's just been an amazing opportunity. I think the guy who started it, his name is Doug Feller. He originally had a vision of helping people who needed a second chance at life. So kind of the demographic they were going to target was going to be past incarcerated people who were now out and needing a fresh start, who wanted to really change their lives, and then also, women who've maybe been abused and in homes and things like that, poor people, underserved communities. And now, I mean, their mission and vision has just continued to expand. Yeah, I mean, it just sound. I mean, I was there in October and they had a studio and some offices, and there was like 5 or 6 people. I went this time and I walked in and the lady was giving me a tour because they've taken over the entire floor of this huge building. And I mean, there was staff people like working everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, they have a podcast studio. So today, this afternoon, that's how I finished my time there was we were shooting or we recording some podcasts, which was really fun. I've never done that. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. It'd be fun. It'll be fun to kind of see. I have no idea what, what I mean, what it all is gonna, they're gonna make me look better than I probably actually am. So sound better than I actually am because they produce it all. It's like very professionally done. So it was fun. So just full of wins to be able to do that and share kind of my knowledge with people. So anywho, let's get started. So what I want to start with, I think I've mentioned this a couple times in maybe the past few weeks, but we're gonna pivot a little bit. And this doesn't necessarily have specifically, it's not like a health topic. I've mentioned the book is kind of how I think I've referenced it a couple times called Atomic Habits. Who has read that in here? So out of the 5 of you, has anybody read Heather, you have. How long ago was it? Do you remember much of it?
No, I don't, but I
Okay.
started re-listening to it, but it's not
So
a
this
fun
is
driving in your car book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. This is going to be a great refresher for you then, and guys,
Yeah.
the rest of you, and anybody, all of you people, because I know a lot of you guys are going to watch the recording of this. I don't know. The information I'm going to teach you guys or share with you guys is definitely it's coming from more than just that book, but that's like it's really heavy in that book, and because James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits. I just, I think I read or listened to it years ago, and I just recently did again, and I think it hit and struck with me even more this time. And so I'm just going to kind of pass on a lot of that information. So I would encourage you guys to listen to it or read it, because you can really apply this anywhere in your life with anything. It doesn't have to be health related. But with the journey you guys are on in this program with me, and just, even if it wasn't with me, just your own health journey, and that of your family, man, there's just so many cool things to take home from this information. So without further ado. So I'm gonna kind of start at the very beginning. So if you were to listen to that book, it would start something like this. Just I think the obvious thing is all of us in this room right now, feel like we want to change or we need to change. We're craving, change, maybe craving growth in our life in some way, and all of us have different stories. Um, but you got to start with and if you guys have been around me for any time, you've heard me say like know your why. Like really, really think about and identify like why. Why do you want to be healthier? Why do you want to, do the things you want to do? And then you can go even deeper than that. And this is what I got from his book is figure out who you want to be. Like who do you want to be? And then pair that with why you want to be that person. Like, who do we want to become as people in general? Like, and again, it doesn't have to be health. I want to be a good dad. I want to be like the best dad I can be. I want to be a good leader. I want to be a good boss for team members of mine. And it can even be as simple as you want to be a better coworker. You want to be a better, I mean, whatever, neighbor to whoever. So think about that. Like really think about that. Who do you want to be? Why do you want to be that? And then really think about how that's going to shape your identity. Okay. So when it comes to habit formation, like I think the obvious thing, but I also think it gets overlooked, is that the more we repeat behaviors, the more you're going to reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. You guys following me? So we all behave in certain ways, and some of this is conscious and some of it's subconscious. And the more you do it, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, you're really reinforcing an identity. Okay. And the more you reinforce the identity, the more natural it's going to feel to repeat the behavior. So it's like it's a vicious cycle. And it could be a good cycle, but it could also be a bad cycle. And we're going to cover that later, like good habits, how do we break bad habits? I mean, that's all going to be a part of this. So, essentially, what all of that means, if you kind of summarize it, is the repeated behaviors or actions or habits we have in our lives are going to really ultimately shape who we are as a person, which is our identity, right? Now, the cool part about this is if you learn all these things and you're conscious of all this, you are in complete control of it. Okay. And then I tell you this quote, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. I don't even remember where I read this or found this, but Benjamin Franklin, it might have been in the book, I can't remember, but Benjamin Franklin said this. He said, "The things you do often create the things you believe." At first, I read that. I'm kind of the type of person where I have to read things a few times before I maybe really understand them. So the things we do often create the things we believe. I think most of us think in reverse of that. It's like we think we believe something and then that's why we do things. And he's saying it's actually a lot of times opposite. What we're doing, good habits, bad habits, subconscious things, subconscious behaviors that maybe come from our childhood. I mean, who knows where these things come from, right? You might be something that you're unaware that you're even doing in life. Maybe until someone points it out to you, that's actually shaping that's creating a belief pattern in you. Okay. So according to and this is definitely I think something, and I'm sorry guys, my eyes are just driving me nuts. I should have put my glasses on. I was, not only staring at a camera all day, but the bright lights that they have shining on you, oh my gosh. I kind of got a little taste of like what an actor or actress might go through because it's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, out of the book, though, he does say this where it's like some of us might think, man, changing bad habits or quitting bad habits or changing behaviors, man, you're talking about big stuff here. Like that's hard to do. And James Clear actually says it's really, really simple and it only takes two steps. So the first one we kind of already talked about is you have to decide for sure the type of person you want to be. Okay, so who do you want to be? Why do you want to be it? And then number two, all you have to do, simple, prove it to yourself with small wins. Now, you guys, some of you guys probably like roll your eyes at me every Wednesday night when I say, okay, share some wins, everybody. Like, what are the wins? But guys, this is like psychological research, right? Like we know the way the brain chemistry works. I've said this a million times. I'll say it a million more. Celebrate the wins you have, small, tiny little wins, big wins, and that creates a dopamine response in your brain. Okay, so the dopamine response is a reward center. So it activates the reward center of your brain. The more you do that with repetition every single day, the more your brain is going to start associating these good kind of wins or these little tiny steps towards good habits, and they're going to become more automatic and subconscious. That makes sense to you guys? Are you following me? Okay. So the other, this was another great quote that I believe it was out of Atomic Habits, James Clear himself, but he pulled stuff from other places too. But it was simply to change who you are, change what you do repeatedly. And that's basically the definition of a habit is you have to do something with repetition, with discipline, with consistency in order for change to happen. Okay, so everything that we do, every action that we take, and you could even take it a step further, every thought that you have is basically how he puts it as a vote for the type of person you want to become. So let's take that little spin on it that I just said. Like, let's take like mental health or this day and age, I have a few of you guys, not necessarily everybody on the call, but a few people right now who I'm working more with you for your kids, right? So teenagers specifically, and then young adults too. But man, like the generations right now, it's just, I don't know how else to put it besides I just say it sucks. It sucks to see it because mental health is just like, it's like I hardly talk to anybody whose kids aren't struggling somehow. And it's just like anxiety, depression, ADHD. I mean, just all these things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like when did it get this bad? And it's been a cumulative thing over time. But I think a lot of it is our kids need to understand how powerful self-talk is. Like, what are they telling? What are they hearing from the culture? Number one. So again, as a parent, that becomes very hard. I don't have teenage kids yet, so it's like I can only imagine how hard it's going to get for me. Because to control. I don't know if that's the right word, but like, how do you shield your kids from all this crap coming at them? Social media and the pressures and what they're learning in schools, and I mean, I just all of the stuff, just all the stuff. It's just mind-boggling. So as a parent, I know it gets tough. And I don't have the experience to really teach you guys on that aspect of it yet, but like maybe somehow trying to talk to our kids and these younger generations and then ourselves too, because adults struggle with this too. I was kind of thinking about, kids for a second, but the negative self-talk. So I'll just use myself as an example because again, this can apply to all of us in this room. I used to, and this was just a number of years ago, it's like I would get into this, oh, if I didn't meet a goal, reach a goal, or maybe it was in my old, there's another in an example, like in my old practice, if a staff person or a team member of mine would leave and maybe they found another job, I would take that very personally. And I would feel like a failure. I'm like, I failed this person. They didn't like it here. They don't like me. Like you guys kind of get what I'm saying. Like it's easy to take everything personally and have that real negative self-talk and maybe it's shame, maybe it's guilt. But for me, it was like the feeling of being a failure in a lot of things, in relationships in my life. I was failing as a dad because I just was exhausted and stressed out and burnout. So anyway, that can turn into a real nasty, vicious cycle real quickly, right? So we have to first, I think, understand how bad that is. We have to be able to identify what we're doing in our own head. Or again, if you have kids, you could maybe start talking to them about this kind of thing if they're willing to listen to you. Or if they're not, I'll talk to them. Maybe they'll listen to me. I don't know. Um, but it starts shaping our identity. Like I started to feel like, well, I'm just a failure. I'm just a failure at life. Like, and it happened over time, right? It wasn't like my identity is as a failure. It was like I looked back and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of those years, my identity was as a failure. And I wasn't a failure. That was just like what the mind game, the tricks that I was playing on myself, right? So again, I kind of went on a pretty long tangent there, but I think it's an important thing to think about and kind of understand. Um, I guess what else am I gonna? Does anybody have any questions or comments at this point before I kind of go on here? Okay, I think and I think it can be, this can apply to adults too, all of you guys. It could probably apply to all of us, but again, also think about your youngsters. I'll just use myself as an example again. I don't know how else to do it, but I grew up in playing sports, right? And gosh, think about that. Like you start on a team when you're like 4 or 5 years old. I was a part of some sort of an athletic team from 4 or 5 years old till I was done with college football. Okay, so I was 21 or 22 when I was done. So that's a lot of years. Every year that I remembered, I was a part of a team and I was playing sports. So my identity was so strongly built around being an athlete, being a competitor, that when I graduated from Nebraska Wesleyan and went to Kansas City to grad school, I mean, those were some of the darkest years of my life as a 22 to 26-year-old. I got straight A's in grad school. I was summa cum laude. I mean, I did good in school. That was like my full-time job, but I had some very dark years. I turned to alcohol, all sorts of other stuff like in grad school. And I didn't realize it then, but I knew something was missing. I was like, but my identity was so fully engrossed in being an athlete and a competitor that when that left my life, I was like feeling this void or this emptiness, right? And I didn't know what to do. So that was just my story when I was a young 20-something-year-old. But I think that can be true for a lot of us. Like how many people as adults get wrapped up in their identities in their career or their job, or I hate to say it because I'm gonna probably struggle with this one, but how many of our identities are as a mom or a dad? Like our kids are all that matter to us. Yeah, you'd take a bullet for your kids, of course, right? I would. I in its heartbeat. But it's like if they become my sole identity, right? When they move out, or God forbid, stuff happens, like they leave, what are you left with? So, point is, long story to say, we got to take care of ourselves first and foremost, right? And well, I think everybody in here, maybe other than a few new people, know that I'm a believer. And what is it? Like the order of importance in my life is God, and then spouse, and then kids, right? I think that's kind of the biblical order. If I'm butchering that, forgive me, but it's like, and then it would be like career and, all the other stuff. Okay, so think about that. I don't know if that's hitting home with anybody, but these are the kind of things that I hope to have conversations with my kids with as they get older, so that I can at least plant these kind of seeds, right? So anyway, moving on. So another great quote, and this won't really apply to you guys because you guys are all in here for a reason, but it's also maybe it applies to you in different areas of your life and not like necessarily your health journey since you are taking action steps towards that. But the quote is from James Clear: "It's never the right time, but right now is usually the best time." Who's a procrastinator? Maybe you guys knew you needed to change your health and fix things 10 years ago, and you're finally doing it now. I don't know everybody's story necessarily in detail, but it's never the right time. There's always going to be excuses. We're always going to be too busy. We're never going to have enough money. Well, maybe. I mean, you win the Powerball and shoot. Remember little old Dr. Scott, all right? I mean, throw me a mill or two. That'd be fine. I'll buy a vacation home somewhere. And I'll do the same for you guys, I promise. So I don't play the lottery though, so your luck's out. So anyway, so now's the right time. It's the best time right now. So the excuses, we all can make excuses. So let's see, what's next? What do I want to talk about next? Let me think here. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I think I've said this many times before because, well, Michelle kind of, you said it with your workout, like you were tired or you in going through an injury or whatever. I didn't want to work out yesterday either after a long day. It's like the last thing I wanted to do was go down to the hotel gym and, it just sounded gross, but I did it, right? So the difference between motivation and discipline, right? Motivation will fade. Motivation is very much based on emotion. You guys getting me? So it's good. Motivation's good. Not saying it's evil or it's bad, but motivation will definitely fade. Okay, so discipline, that's what we need, and that's what we need to focus our mindset on. So I think a definition of discipline, one of the definitions anyway, is to train yourself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. So we're talking a lot about habits in the next few weeks. So discipline is to train yourself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. Okay? So that's what we need to just start mulling that over in your mind day after day after day, because that motivation will definitely fade and wane over time. Okay? So another concept from the book that I really loved is there's a lot of concepts from the book that I loved, but you guys remember, well, Heather, maybe you'll remember this, but the 1% rule. You guys might have heard of this in other places, but I don't know if it was James Clear's like a unique idea for him. But the 1% rule is basically if we focus, and a lot of athletes, like a lot of professional athletes, this is like their motto or their philosophy is if you focus on getting 1% better every day, 1 tiny little percent better at something or 1% better in general every day for 1 year, some smart people did the math on this. I don't really know the algorithm, but 1% better every day, you will be 37 times better than you were when you started. So that's, I mean, I'd say if I'm 37 times better at something, that's pretty darn good. Inversely of that, if you get 1% worse each day, so if you're just like, I give up, I'm just gonna, whatever, it is what it is, then you're gonna basically decline down to zero or less than zero. You're just gonna get worse over time, okay? So the small wins matter. The minor setbacks we all are going to have. We just have to pick ourselves up and keep moving forward. Don't let them get to you. Everybody's going to make mistakes. So that's why I want you guys to focus so much on these small wins. The small wins matter. It's like a compounding effect, right? So everybody has a bank account, right? So whether it's a retirement fund or a bank account that gets savings that has whatever, compounding interest. You guys know what I'm saying. So compounding interest, right? If you put, shoot, man, let's just say, let's use some silly number. Like if you put $10 in a bank account every month, okay? Because so we all could probably afford that, right? You put $10 in, you probably wouldn't even miss it. It's like, that's not a big deal. That's such a small thing, right? And even after 3 months, after 6 months, even after a year or two, that might be like, oh, that's still pretty insignificant, not a big deal. But if it's gaining 10% interest, what's it going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20, 50 years? Okay, so the principle of compounding interest, you also need to apply that. That can be applied to habits in your life. Okay, I think one of the things, and I know this is true for a lot of you, I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, but we get really caught up in wanting the here and now. I want this to change now. I want to feel better now. That like we're missing the bigger picture sometimes. And I get it. We're human. The frustrations, I totally get it. I struggle with this too. But I want you guys, you got to reframe your mindset and be like, okay, it took me 41 years to get where I'm at. Things aren't going to change overnight. Number one, healing is never linear. There's no such thing as linear progression. There's going to be hills and valleys. There's going to be ups and downs. Okay, with everything. We're going to stumble, we're going to fall, we're going to mess up. It's okay. Pick yourself up and keep going. Okay, and just remember the small habits that you implement now and today and in this program are going to compound over time for years to come as long as you stick with consistency and discipline. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, any questions, comments? Are you guys like, this is so boring, I want to go to sleep, Dr. Scott? Or is this okay? Are you guys learning anything? Nobody would tell me even if they thought it was terrible. So, okay. You guys have heard me say this a lot too. Is like, I talk about like small sustainable. So you got to make these habit changes sustainable. So, and sometimes I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like not hypocritical. I can't think of the word right now. My brain's tired, but I talked to you guys about small sustainable steps, and then a lot of you are like, shoot, man, you had me change everything in my entire life in the first 2 weeks of your program. I get it, okay? But I do tell you, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's the last thing we want. If you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's more important to remember the principles I'm talking about tonight. So yes, I give you guys a ton of information. I give it to you so you have it as a resource. And then we just, for every single one of you, it looks different. And that's why I do it that way. And maybe in the future, I'll do it differently and I'll find a better system. But right now, I feel like I give you guys all the information, all of these strategies, all of these tips, and I know I say it to you all, but some of you, maybe you don't hear it, where don't feel like you have to change everything all at once. Don't feel like that. If that's overwhelming, if that's stressful, the progression may be slower. You may be going like this instead of this. That's okay. This is the long game for everybody, okay? Remember, it's the long game, okay? I think, I mean, it's what, 9:02. So I know we have more time, but I'll probably just talk about one more thing, one more little principle here, and then we'll wrap up for the night. If anybody has questions, please ask questions at the end too. I think well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you guys really care. So there, nerdy stuff, nerdy stuff. I'll just say nerdy stuff. I like nerdy stuff. So Hebb's law, it's something called Hebb's law. Is you guys have probably all heard it. It's called neurons that fire together, wire together. So another, you know, nerdy term is neuroplasticity. So with both of these things together, we're talking about the nervous system and how neurons that fire together, wire together, and neuroplasticity means that our nervous systems are very moldable, shapeable, and changeable. Okay, so what's my point in saying that? Remember that in the coming weeks when we're talking about some of the strategies, how to actually make good habits stick and how to break bad habits, because those are going to be lessons that I teach you guys in future weeks. But right now, what you need to know and remember is neuroplasticity is a real thing. You can change even the hard wiring in your brain. Like the only unfortunate thing for all of us in this room is the older we are, the harder it is. Okay. And that's been actually Harvard did some really amazing studies. Harvard has, if you don't know this, they have a whole research center. It's called the Center for the Developing Child, I believe is the name of it, something like that. So I read a ton of their stuff because I used to work a ton with pediatrics, pediatric neurology and neurological cases and, you know, spectrum disorders and all the stuff. And it's fascinating because from the ages of 0 to 10, you literally can almost change anything in a kid's brain. I mean, it's just that moldable and changeable. And then after the age of 10, it starts to kind of like, you know, decline. And by the age of 50, it's like, you know, we can still change. And then by the age of 80, there's still hope because you can still change it. It just takes a little bit more work and a little bit more time. Okay. So neuroplasticity and nerves that fire together, wire together. So always remember that. And especially if you guys do have kids, you know, start changing some of the household habits. That way you can give them the best chance as possible. And again, oh my gosh, I could talk about a million things. You know, even just the food that our kids are eating, and you know the chemicals that they're putting in their body. That's obviously a big part of a lot of mental health stuff going on right now. They're deficient in a lot of things. Too much sugar, too much artificial sweeteners, too much food dyes, too much processing. All of that is such a big thing. So if you do have kids and kids that are struggling or know people who do, that's one of the first things I would start with is clean the pantry, clean the cupboards, clean the pantry out. Okay, whole food, low sugar, all those things are going to help a lot. Okay, so I don't know. Are you guys exhausted? It's been a heck of a day, a storm. I think that's probably where I'm going to wrap it up tonight. So I guess in summary, just remember what I said in the beginning. So who do we want to identify as a person? Who, and then why do we want to do that? If you remember those things, and sometimes I used to do this. I did this a long time ago. It's been a while, but like sticky notes, like on the bathroom mirror, like, you know, I never was a real big affirmation guy. I always kind of thought, oh, affirmations, that's kind of weird. But you know, like the more I actually read the science of this stuff, it's like it's undeniable that it works. Right. So I was actually in a training. I don't remember. Some of you guys might have been around. I think was it last summer or fall? I was in a leadership training course. I don't remember if you remember me talking about it. They had us do some really wild things. And one of the exercises was literally just there was an exercise. I don't need to explain it, but it basically was an exercise that was very uncomfortable for me to do. You had to be very vulnerable, but basically by the end of the exercise, you came up with 3 words that you wanted to be, but the point is that we wrote it on this big whiteboard, like this big poster board, and mine said, oh, what was it? I am a joyful, confident, inspiring man. That was the end product of this exercise. The point was is I didn't feel like those things. Those were the things, those were the who I want to become. What did I say? I'm a joyful, confident, inspiring man. And I wrote it on this big board and they said, you have to hang it in your bathroom or your bedroom where you're going to see it every day. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And I did it anyway. And I'm telling you, I would see it every single day. And some days I'm like, forget that. And then other days I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a joyful, confident, inspiring man today. Right? So anyway, that was kind of off the subject a little bit, but I think still kind of on like who we want to be, why we want to become it. And then in coming weeks, we're going to really dive into uh, setting the trajectory of how we get there. Here's a little, I'll tease you a little bit here. Goal setting is good, but we focus on it too much. Have you guys ever heard that? Focus on goal setting too much. The goal is the end game. It's the final product. What do we need to get to a goal? Anybody have an idea? What do we need to do to get to a goal? I wouldn't expect you guys to know. Other than Heather, you should know because you've listened to the book. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I
You don't
know.
We
Just do
need
small things.
systems.
Break it down, right? Break
Yes,
it
break
down.
it down. Exactly. You need systems. It's what's called systems. Now, the systems are going to be basically the habits that we're going to build, that we're going to change. And the bad habits we're going to get rid of. Okay. But you have to have systems in place to reach a goal. That comes with a trajectory. So the analogy that stuck out to me because it just made, I mean, it was like mind blowing to me. I don't know if it will be to you, but, and this comes from the book. If you're in Los Angeles, okay, and you're going to get on an airplane and fly to New York City, 3,000 and some miles, almost as long as the United States, right? As wide as the United States. So West Coast to East Coast on an airplane. So that is a lot of distance and it's quite a bit of time, right? A number of hours to do that flight. When you take off, airplane taking off, nose is pointed towards New York City. If that pilot moves the nose of that plane at takeoff 3 inches to the left or right, the trajectory is changed. Where's the airplane going to end up over time and distance? Is it going to end up in New York City? It's going to
No.
end up hundreds of miles off course. 3 inch nose, a gigantic airplane, 3 inches, insignificant. What is that going to matter? Changes the entire trajectory of that flight. Okay. So apply that to your life and what we're talking about. Small, tiny changes today over time can compound and really matter in the long run, is essentially the point. So, one of the reasons that I'm going to keep harassing you all to share your wins every week, because the small wins matter. The small changes matter. Compounding effect. Okay? That's what I got.
Mhm.
I felt like a preacher. Did it come across like a preacher?
No. No.
Everybody, hallelujah, say amen. Anyway, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Mm.
Okay. Stew on that a little bit. Think about that. All these kind of concepts. Maybe you took some notes, maybe not. Shoot, I'll tell you what, this might be one where you go back and listen to it again tomorrow, the next week, maybe one or two times before next Wednesday. And then I don't know if Faith will be on next Wednesday or not. We haven't talked about when we're rescheduling. So she'll be on at some point talking about what did I say she was going to talk about? She's going to talk about a little bit more like psychology of food, relationship with food type stuff, which I think is always a good subject to cover. And then I will pick up with this habit stuff that next following week. So I kind of like not having a PowerPoint tonight. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like just talking. So that's gonna be a nice break
Good.
for me. So all right, y'all. Everybody, please stay safe and stay warm. I hope you all have power forever and ever and ever. So have a great night, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night. Good night.
I'm gonna finish watching.
And I got to get off this.